everybody, this is Max Farrow from DexFastMarkets.com, and in this session we're going to talk about what sessions to trade. We could refer to this to as your time. Now, when do the signals fire is a big question, and here's the answer. The master pairs start from Sunday night at 1900, which is right around 7 o'clock, because they have an expiry for 8 o'clock, so the first signal fires right at 7. It should fire at 7 if there is a signal. And it goes all the way to Friday to 1600 being the last signal, but the expiry would be 1700, 5 o'clock. The exchange, or 1700, the exchange of Nadex is closing at that point. Now, and that's all the way to Friday, but the next session during Sunday throughout the day is 1700 to 1900. The exchange opens back up again. Well, it opens up an hour earlier than that, but the first signal fires at 1900. And that's for the Aussie USD, the Euro USD, the Euro JPY, the Great Britain Pound USD, and the USD JPY. I would keep a small track. We'll have this information down in text form inside this session, or inside this lesson as well. These five, what we refer to as the master pairs, are pretty strong to trade out throughout the day and night. Some do better at some times, but the best way to figure out which time that is for you to trade them and start practicing with them. The secondary pairs are a little less. There's a couple more. There's one more of them than the master pairs, but they only fire from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 1500, and that's Monday through Friday. But again, the success rate of those, the Aussie JPY, Euro Great Britain Pound, Great Britain JPY, USD CAD, USD CHF, and USD Mexican, the peso, all fire between that 8 and 3. The last expiry being at 3 o'clock, the last signal being at 1400. Now, the next question we always seem to get is, what are the best times? Max, what's the best signal and when's the best time? Just tell me when that is. I can't tell you what that is, because in order for me able to do that, I'm going to talk to you at the end here a little bit about your time and what that means. But the best times that I have found, and this is basically the entire day, 0800 to 1200, there's a little volatility for all pairs happening at that time. It's the open of the U.S. market, and at 12, it's the close of the U.K. market. So there's always this set of news that happens during that side. So this is where the non-farm payroll happens. This is where a lot of the bigger news happens. So there's some volatility. The signals seem to do very well through news and through the process. It has the same win rates and success rates. We don't take in consideration of the news when we do trading, and we do our strategy tester. It goes right through the news. We don't even bother thinking of the news at that time, because the way our strategy is, it uses price action and a few other things to monitor the movement. So sometimes news affects that, but don't start looking at what the success rates are in any particular time. Just get in and start trading and start seeing the value of the strategy itself. From 12 to 1500, which is about 3 hours, it's a little bit slower because we've had the UK market close and the end of the secondary pairs are coming to fruition. So you'll get a moderate amount of signals through that process. What the win rate is, we're working on that process. We have a simulated strategy tester now that we'll be releasing here shortly. That will give us a lot of information about the sessions and the timing. The next session is 1500 to 1700. That's usually an end of the day. So there's a little bit fickleness of the master pairs that fire at that point. This is where the secondary pairs are not firing anymore and the master pairs are firing in that time period. The end of the day seems to be a little volatile, especially when you get closer to 5 p.m. 1900 to 2 a.m. there is a stable, but there's not as many trades. We're only using the master pairs at that point. And that's also true for 0200 to 800. There's not a lot of pairs to choose from. There's a lot of volatility at from 2 a.m. to about 5. I didn't put that in here, but to 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. Starts to settle back out and get ready for the next branch of volatility happening between 8 and 12, right? So I'd say from 2 a.m. to 12 p.m. for that noon time, there is a massive amount of news and volatility that happens. A lot of people like trading the nighttime factor of 1700, and this is all East Coast times, EST times, so keep that in mind. But most people like to trade that nighttime value because they've had work all day and they come home and they trade. Now, if you're on the West Coast of the United States and you're trying to trade, you might still be at work at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, okay, being if that would be 5 o'clock your time. So keep that in mind, that the time zones may change and may mess you up a little bit. Maybe if you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to trade the 8 o'clock in the morning sessions, you are going to have to figure out what you want to do. Now, luckily, we have a lot of people trading all different times, so we have a lot of information. In summary, the best time to trade is simply when you can. And when you can devote your time to pay attention to the process of following the signal, going over to Nadex, putting the right in. If you're in there and you're super tired or you just don't have your wits about you, we call this the Einstein window. Find when is the best time for you to trade. You get up, you get a cup of coffee, you close the door, you pay attention. At the top of the hour, every top of the hour, there's a signal firing, something firing at the top of every hour. If there's not, it's okay. We have some rare times that signals don't fire at a particular time. But for the most part, every top of the hour, if a signal is firing, you have an opportunity to take 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to make that trade. But only do so if you're in the proper frame of mind. Don't do so after looking and thinking, oh, I just lost a trade, so now I got to place on. We're gonna talk about fighting the dragon later on, okay? But for now, when is the time for you to trade? Set yourself some designated time. If you don't have a lot of time, that top of the hour needs your 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or what have you. Don't try to rush it. Get in there and take the trade. Make sure it's right. That's all up to you. You're using signals, so it shouldn't take you long at the top of every hour to be able to go down and go into your trades. You don't have to read any charts. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just have to follow what we've said here so far, and it'll take that process. Now, learning later on that, hey, I really don't like the Audi JPY. I seem to, when I get into it, I lose that one more than I win it, so I'm not going to do it. That's where your journal, that's where other things will come in, which we'll explain much later. All right, I'm Max. This is Dex. We'll see you next time. And as always, trade well.